Right.
In retrograde, Mercury in retrograde.
Yeah, we got hit by the retrograde Neptune.
Our horoscopes are not in line.
There we go.
Yeah.
Now we're up.
Are we?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get notified. Is it the same stream?
Okay, the stream is up.
Stream is up. We'll give it a couple minutes and then we'll sort of check to see.
Gotcha.
I'm
gonna.
Seems good for now, people are saying.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. We have no clue what's going on. I'm talking to some people on Discord who are running streams today, and they said that they've been having issues getting YouTube to see their stuff going in. So right now I'm just sitting back here for a couple seconds to see what's happening. But it looks like 0 dropped frames. It was always fine on my side, but these guys said Zoom was a little body too. So I also switched out to a different, I switched my IP and everything to see if that worked. Knowing my luck, I got IP banned again from YouTube. Did you guys see that happened yesterday? A bunch of people were using Internet Explorer, Edge, and the Edge Microsoft detection was telling them YouTube was like, you had a YouTube pop-up ad blocker. They were like, no, I don't.
Oh,
but
yeah.
$2 super chat. YouTube is the best. Yeah, best gaming podcast, right? You never quite know how it's going to work out. But I think we are back overall, especially because I switched my IP address. We'll have to see if that worked. But Lords of the Fallen, we've been playing it. Somebody was asking a question. And what was that question? They asked, is it like what, Johnny?
Is it like is the exploration like Remnant 2's exploration?
Oh, that's an interesting.
Kind of. Yeah, I mean, it's a similar idea. Mm-hmm. But what I would say in Remnant, you notice a lot the randomness that we talked about. And this is more like deliberate, right? Okay. You have that recursive feeling of levels that does bring me back to Surge and other games. So you do have the
mystery then of like looking around and... Okay.
You do. You're going to get lost if you enjoy that. I know I do sometimes, just kind of trying to figure out a world. Sometimes I've been too lost, like in some of the Surge games, but overall I still like, and that here is really cool because you have the lantern thing, like everybody's seen by now, right?
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And it's not just a gimmick. That's a deep, there's some cool, deep mechanics around that I don't really want to kind of spell out because the game shows you. And yeah, it's cool to figure out as you go because you get more stuff you can do. And there are some cool consequences of being in the world of the dead. So, one of the meters in the game is something called dread, which builds as you're in there. So, like when we played Diablo 4, you had a chance of running into the Butcher, which was like a mini boss, that would show up and kick your ass. There's kind of something like that with the dread mechanic. But again, I don't want to spell it out for people. Overall, it looks really good. It's really cool. The level of detail and the art design is amazing. I absolutely love it. And I like the different styles. Straight up, when you start the game, you have 8 classes, I want to say. I forgot the exact number. They're all very different looking and with, very different weapons, too. So
and 400 devs working on it. Abzi and I talked about that Wednesday.
Okay, so
it's a big game.
This is my issue, dude. Like, everything is cool and all, and I'm very interested in, like, exploring that, which I wasn't for Liza P at all. The issue with me is that it looks like a AA game, but it's priced at a AAA price. You know what I mean? Like the jankiness of it all. I'm not talking graphics wise. It's just like the animations and the sound design and the way I'm seeing the combat. Is that there's a lot of AA stuff. Like even Liza P looks way more AAA than this does in its combat. But that's like my main issue where the price point should probably be lower. In my opinion, from what I've seen, like I would have accepted it as like a middle market game. You know what I mean?
It is absolutely mostly negative on Steam, and which is a very, for a new game, when something's mostly negative, to me, that means technical, usually, like technical issues. But when I was talking to a lot of people who were playing it, one of the things they were saying is what Johnny said, was that it sort of asks you to do some moves, it asks you to do some things that don't feel like they're actually happening, or like it's not buffering a move, it's not responsive all the time. And the people that I know who play those games, you know, a lot of people are just going to get caught up because it's the next Dark Souls, which there's nothing wrong, or the next, you know, it's a Dark Souls like, which by the way is fine. But it is interesting that Lies of P is the more technically proficient one. Like it just doesn't have and then you get this one, which is trying to do more, and I think that's great. There's much absolutely more, nothing, right? Much more, but it's obvious that there's some severe issues. And then I don't know, I'm going to speak out of turn here because I don't know exactly what's going on and what this complaint is, but I have seen a ton of people on Twitter bitching about the behind the scenes code and responsiveness to bugs when they were reporting problems. And Johnny and I talked about this, where I said there's a lot of people doing streams, there's a lot of content being made for it, and I'm wondering if they didn't have a big enough team to respond when somebody had issues. So like it might just be a couple people, and if 100 people are having issues, it's just one dude or two dudes or, you know, dudettes, whatever, staring at their email going, Christ, that's a lot of requests for help. So it could be that as well. It feels like they gave it out to a bunch of people, and then they also had that patch that's delayed on the Xbox. I don't know if you guys saw that, but they delayed that patch. So it's like PlayStation and PC are getting patched, but the Xbox isn't. So there's a lot of issues with the game.
Doesn't Xbox have like some certification stuff that delays? I know for Game Pass it does, where like they'd push a patch on Steam easily, then have to wait a couple days for certification from.
Yeah, there's definitely differences for all of the makers. Yeah. But it definitely hasn't hit with, I think, their hope, which was that it would just work and it would be like you play it and the experience you get is what everybody's talking about. It seems like right now that experience is all over the place, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. I do want to say, you know, for me it runs well, but again, we always have to say I have a strong system, so I'm probably brute forcing through some of the issues. But one thing that I want to highlight, I think it's really cool, and I love seeing evolution here, is how seamlessly you can switch between one-handed and two-handed. So if you have a great sword, switching between wielding it with one hand or two, we could already do that in other games, but it was always a bit clunky. You kind of had to, like, you know, but here you can do it on the fly. Mid combo, you can say, I'm switching to two-hand to do a big whatever. Do you see that as well, Labs? That's
on Wednesday, man.
Really cool.
Yes, that was one of the main points I was excited for, is that mid combo you can switch stances and use spells where you don't have to switch spells with like one
it almost reminded me of a mini Neo thing where like I'm switching stances, you know?
I always love shit like that, and like I like to see those improvements on the Souls genres, especially the co-op system is apparently supposed to be just like a full-on co-op system, and you don't have to worry about
kind of. So a couple caveats there. So you don't keep your progress, but
who doesn't keep their progress?
Okay, so if I jump into your world to help you out, it's going to be a persistent session even if we die, so that's good. So we don't disconnect and have to resummon, blah blah blah. But in my world, nothing has happened.
But what about your character? Like,
I still keep my character and my souls that I got in your world.
And items? Like, can you loot items as well in their world?
That I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So people have to check that. But I don't get any of the progress.
In the world progress.
Yeah, so if we're banging it out for 4 hours advancing your world, my world is still, I guess that's like Remnant, isn't it? That's the same.
Decay 2 or like a lot of them. Actually, Neo is like the only one that does it. That does it well. Neo is. But
I do think Neo, you had to have beaten the level first, wasn't it?
No. Full on. I played with a friend, full on co-op. It progressed both worlds.
So it's not like that. It's not meant for you to progress together, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because Neo is like mission based, and this is more of like a open world type deal.
Open areas type
open
thing.
Area. Yeah.
It's unfortunate that these guys haven't smartened up to the idea that when I join a game, I should be able to just choose to progress my world or not.
Yeah.
Like,
because people have done that well, like Borderlands, they do a great job of syncing what you've done versus.
Yeah. And I just feel that a lot of people who are putting in time aren't as, there. If I'm putting a bunch of time in co-op, I know I'm in your game world. And so I've already jumped in. I know what steps I'm taking. I think most people would love to have their world progress as well. I don't know many people who are like, I don't want mine to progress if I'm helping you.
No,
it's
like
I agree with you.
State of Decay 2, that was like one of my biggest issues.
Was that you were just in their world, basically?
In their world, yeah, and you had no access to like you couldn't manage those outposts together and stuff, where like it's not like a full experience for the second player, you know what I mean? It's
right.
Like, just like an added on character in someone else's world.
Yeah. Only the host gets progression and loot from boxes, Andrew says. Sorry,
that
go
I
ahead.
want to shout out that I'm excited about is so you have 3 weapon slots. You have your main hand, your offhand, and those can be whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could have like a dagger on the offhand, a little shield, blah, blah, and you get different move sets. And the 3rd slot is throwables. So you can have like daggers, throwable daggers, and instead of being consumable, they refill when you rest. And there's a little ammo indicator. So whether you equip a spell or a ranged weapon like a crossbow or whatever, it's either going to be your ammo indicator or your mana, right? But you can actually see that. So that's a really big change, because like throwables and ranged weapons were super annoying in some of these Souls games. And here it's completely integrated, and you can have a very heavy Unga Bunga build and still throw in the ranged very easily, very seamlessly, kind of like with the stance that I talked about.
I think that maybe all the stuff that you are seeing that helps might be why there are tech issues too. Is that, there's other stuff that we're not seeing that's like, oh, they're wanting you to be able to refresh this. They're wanting and something's plus going wrong in the back end and dual world. Yeah. So technically 4 worlds in a weird way, like your own stuff and then somebody else's stuff and then also somebody else's up. Yeah. So it is sad because they've gotten hammered, man. They've gotten hammered console and PC. Like the reviews aren't good, and I
looked at some of them,
publicity
and it seems the main issues are on the technical side. People saying like they got stutters in the menu, like different types of issues like that.
Yeah, some were, but the low scores that I saw were not. They were like the game itself. They just flatly like thought it was
Steam
not fun.
Or open
no,
critic?
actual like reviewers,
full-on reviewers.
Yeah, there was like there was like a 4 out of 10. There was a couple 4 really low ones, which I don't. Again, it's just their experience. But I also looked for what you're talking about, like, oh, did the tech experience mess up the pace? Because that can impact it for sure. And they would talk about a crash here or there, but it was just the game itself. A lot of it was what you were talking about, where it didn't feel as responsive as they expected. Or there were things that felt like weren't. So, for example, we know this. When you die from a boss, you want to know it was you, right? That's on me.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people who are saying, man, I feel like I'm dying and it's not on me.
Because if I pressed, dash and attack, I want the attack to happen.
Yeah,
if instead you dash me into an enemy and then I just get clobbered by the enemy because I'm looking at them instead of hitting them, that's bad, right?
Yeah.
And again, I'm very early, guys, so I don't know if it was a one-off issue, if it's going to get fixed, or if it was my brain hallucinating. But just putting out there that
you're not the only one who mentioned it.
Times.
Yeah,
that happened a few times for me.
Also, Hush Out Ghoul said $2 super chat. And by the way, if we missed it, I don't think we missed any super chats when we bounced streams there. But if we did, feel free to just type it in normally and say you missed a super chat, and I'll read it out. Hush Out Ghoul, $2 super chat. Oh, he says, based on your experiences, are the reviews fair? Well, the reviews are at like 75%. So would 75% be fair, I guess, would be the question? Or to fit into what? Because this is you, by the way, because I haven't I haven't experienced it.
Yeah, I'm just too little into the game.
Right. That makes sense.
So it's very hard for me to judge. What I can say is I've seen Cowboy's review, right? We know Cowboy.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a fair review. He did raise issues with the game. He did have fun with it, but he did kind of basically say it was like mixed, like a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Like many little things keeping it from being a great Souls game. I think I'm not misrepresenting him.
No, I don't. I haven't seen his, but I know that, you know, sometimes he's overly glowing on some stuff because he loves builds.
Yeah.
But when he does a review, for the most part, he's like, you know, it's hard to do a review if you're a Let's Player because you might have a different expectation from the game or a different desire or just experience it slightly different because of the way you're pacing yourself. But usually when he sets those aside and does one, he you know, he'll bring up the issues.
It also depends on the game because, for example, AC 6, you know, he's a massive core fan.
Armored Core,
core fan.
Yeah.
So, you know, there he even said, you know, he's clearly biased. He loves those games, right? And you can tell, like.
Yeah, I remember he was talking about the graphics, and I was like, "Listen, man, there are some parts of AC6 that look incredible, but there is a lot that is rough as fuck. Like, there's some straight up GameCube shit going on in that game. But in the end, I think that probably it seems like from all the people I've talked to that the 70 to 80 is probably fair, and then if you have tech issues, it's going to drop below 70, and if you have none, it could go above into the 80s. I mean, that's just me sort of.
True.
I don't do numbers, but it's sort of what I'm hearing from people. That
sort of feels right because they are doing some really cool stuff, you know, with the worlds and the exploration. But it does seem like some of the baseline stuff, like the mechanics, aren't fully running at like full speed.
Christino, $5 super chat. Been playing Lord since midnight. I'm enjoying it very much. Sure, there are issues, but I can look beyond it. It's worth giving it a shot.
It's cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah, it's definitely worth giving a shot.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is like, if a game
doesn't have the production value of $70,
but even if it did, I think that because there's all these issues, it might be better unless you're got nothing to play to just wait for a patch or two so that your experience will be better. There's no rush to play it unless there is on you a rush to play it. Otherwise, it seems like this one is pretty open that there's a lot of problems. So it's like maybe wait for a patch or two. Is it 70 or 60?
I don't know, but in the Canadian store, it's like $90 fucking. And you know what's so like irritated the shit out of me when I was looking at it on the store? I would click on it and it would show up as the deluxe edition, which was over $100 in Canada, and you'd have to go to like those, like you can't find the standard edition anywhere. You had to go like 3 dots and then switch it to like a standard edition to get it, and that just bugged the shit out of me. But yeah, I was surprised. I thought it was gonna be like a $50 game. You know what I mean? So.
But you know what's beautiful, Abzi, for us PC gamers, £35, the price I paid.
What? How?
They like. Pre-purchase, £35.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to pre-purchase a game.
Pre-purchase for cheap?
Yeah, a lot of times they'll run that 10% thing where you like if you buy it off
way
Steam.
More than 10% though.
Yeah, 35 is like
super
50%.
cheap.
Yeah.
That's fucked.
Yeah, it's almost 50%. No, but that happens very often, Abzi. At least
that's still fucked. They go like, oh, if you buy it now and pre-order it, we'll give you 50% off.
No, it's not because of the pre-order. It's just because of third-party. Sales
third party
sites.
Okay,
so if it's not an Epic exclusive, you know, you have to decide what's okay with you, you know, ethically where to buy it from, whatever. Without getting into that, you can, you know, get prices like that even before day one, which is pretty. Just wanted to put that out there. So also I am looking at the game through those lenses. That's why I bring it up, because I paid 35. So to me, you're saying, you know, it's not worth 70.
Yeah, it's a whole different discussion if it was worth.
For me, it's like 35. I'm super happy. You know, it's a great exploration.
Well, we should separate it real quick though. You're not reviewing. So
that is true. Yeah,
right.
And again, I'm very early still.
Yeah, and you're very early still. So even though what you're just saying, it's like I mean, I just want to make sure, because then somebody can be like, okay, well, it's good. I'll just risk my $35.
Yeah, I'm still not in a
well,
position where I could say like I would recommend others do it, but you know, for me,
you know what's interesting though is we're all talking about this. It's obvious that there's problems because every single thing we're talking about revolves around like hugely different things being priced lower. So it's, you can almost, a lot of times you can just look at the discussion
and everything
and go, oh, okay, well, there's obviously issues. Yeah, it's. I think a patch or two, especially now that we're hearing, you know, the delay on the Xbox One, it's like sometimes it's just best to sit back and see what's going on, unless you're in a rush to play it if you're a streamer, or if you're in a rush to play it because you have a friend who's gonna get it regardless and you're okay with spending that money. But when you're okay with it, I always say the moment you buy it, even if there's a refund process, just assume your money's gone. Just assume your money's gone. And if you do get a refund, great, but just assume it's gone. And if you can do that and get it, then great. And, you know, maybe you have a good time. But I got DMs right now that I'm reading, and the person's like, I can't not get it to load. So it's just like, all right, you know, yeah. PC, right? It was PC for this one.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say all PCs, but PC. Scores are all over the place, ranging from 9 to 2. Yeah. I heard if you play offline, the issues lessen. Well, that's maybe goes back to what I was talking about. That maybe the online stuff and their awesome ideas for the ranged weapons and the respawn, you know, maybe there's something going on where it's just asking too much of what they were trying to do.
Their netcode is definitely dodgy right now, because when you look at footage of people
playing together,
having multiplayer or invasions, because you get invaded, by the way, in this game too, it's very like people are teleporting. Right?
Oh,
there's
wow.
Ghost hits.
All right.
This type of stuff. So you can kind of see the net code is not really working that great right now.
I think that puts a tiny different spin on it, because I haven't got to check that kind of stuff out. They
don't use the de novo thing, Astros, doesn't fucking matter, because even without de novo, it has issues, and other games with de novo runs really, really well. Like that discussion. Okay, great, people can torrent it. You know, sorry, that was like a thing we talked about on Wednesday. Like de novo is the last thing to worry about when the game's performance itself is bad. Like, who gives a fuck? Some games can have de novo and work really, really well. You know what I mean?
I mean, Abzi, the way I look at it is, sure, you could get some frames back by either having DLSS 3 or, you know, not having de novo or whatever. But at the end of the day, there are some core issues with the
there's fundamental issues that's like way worse than having de novo. Yeah. Some people were saying that de novo was causing the tech issues.
There's no de novo in it.
There has to be a boogeyman. You know what
Dude,
I mean?
There's always a boogeyman. You know,
there's always a boogeyman.
There's always a boogeyman. There's always it's fucking Microsoft for Redfall. It's this that. It's like, dude, that's a safety net for people. The fact is life is chaos.
Yeah, and it is cool that, you know, recently we got Lies of P, which was a similar type of game, I guess, but it was very technically sound. You know, I played through the whole thing just based on my own experience, but I thought it was really solid, and even on the animations and everything.
Anfield, the place to be. Jeez, that's a big name. He says, what's better for you guys, be a YouTube member or join the Patreon in terms of revenue? Patron, but not terms of revenue, because they're identical, I believe. Patron's best because you also get some stuff like Discord. So I would say Patreon overall. But if you don't want to use it, use Discord or use YouTube. It's completely fine, whichever one. Moving on from there. Obviously, it's contentious, because we've even had contention in here just talking about it. So it's like, okay, we know that there's issues with the game. But I think that it's okay to say this one is probably just, it probably makes a little bit more sense to wait a tiny bit. And if you can, and we'll see if those issues go away.
Or moving at the very least, look at data, right?
Moving on from there,
yourself.
GTA 6. So I want to talk about GTA 6. Let's move on from this. Let's talk about positive things. So I don't know about you guys. I'm seeing the leaks about GTA 6, and I'm seeing all this kind of stuff. And there's two characters we know of in GTA 6, or at least in the leaks, they're showing a guy and a girl and all this kind of stuff. What do you guys do you guys expect GTA 6 to have something in it that's going to bump it like GTA 5 did, which is switchable 3 characters, even though it took like multiple seconds to load? Is there something that you think GTA 6 needs to deliver? Do you think, what is that? Or do you know what it is? Or just saying you think it should deliver something?
What I think it should and what I think will happen is, first of all, we saw what they did with Red Dead 2, and in a lot of ways, it was a huge step up from GTA 5. There's a way more attention to detail. There's a lot of random encounters. There's a lot of interaction with NPCs, a lot of emergent gameplay, a lot of different systems playing with each other to provide you with a simulation outside of the main core, quests and doing quests and stuff like that, or doing missions, right? And I want to see it in GTA. I want GTA to be more of a maybe it's harder to do in a city setting. Obviously, there's a way more NPCs and way more dynamic things going on. But if they take what they learned from Red Dead 2 and implement it into GTA 6, I think it'll be a fantastic sandbox in the modern day. Other than that, they did hire the 5M, which I think is amazing, which can be about the multiplayer. They could be for RP elements and
the RP elements.
But,
yeah,
but they could also help with more RP elements in the single player as well, where there's just more interaction in the game world and more of jobs and things to do in the world. So yeah, I really hope the main thing is that they take that attention to detail from Red Dead with its systems and the dynamic encounters that you can have and push it into the next GTA.
I saw somebody bring up something that was highly intelligent, and it was on Reddit. So yeah, I said those two things together.
Wow.
Okay. This is a really intelligent thought process, and I wanted to bring it up. And that was that somebody said, well, they like GTA 5 and prior Rockstars. While playing them, and by the way, this is why I like GTA, so I want to make sure I'm clear. But they said, while playing them, it feels like every single mission or action or what have you is a part of a movie versus that full real sandbox, even though you can go around and shoot people and blah, blah, blah. And I was, we've all talked about the technical or the technical issues with GTAs and Red Dead and how you can't break the mission structure. I'm not trying to break it for the most part. I like what they're delivering. But I thought that was a pretty it was a pretty succinct way of saying something that I think we've all probably said in the past, where we've all been they feel different, and some people love it. By the way, I'm one of those people. Like Red Dead 2, I had no issue with the mission structure. Yeah, you can't leave the mission structure, but it's also when you can't leave, look how good it is. So it's if it's that good and I can't leave, I'm okay with it. But it isn't Starfield or Skyrim.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that thought process, or do you?
Yeah, I agree with you, because while Red Dead 2 had a lot of sim stuff,
Johnny said he'll be right back.
Missions.
Okay. Yeah.
While Red Dead 2 had a lot of sim stuff outside of the actual missions that were very, very scripted, I think the scripted nature of those missions made it so that the story is very tight and very, very good and impactful, right? So I don't know how they could implement more, choice in gameplay within those quests and make it more sandboxy within those quests. I'm fine with separating the two, where it's you're playing the very tight story, but you also have the huge sandbox outside of it.
Yeah, and dude, I heard a developer say that open world is sort of like the anathema or the anti-good story if you do fully open world. And I sort of get it, because you see Red Dead say you can do these things and they're sort of these mini games or whatever, and they're great. And then you jump in and you start playing their missions. And if those missions were wider, I'm not 100% sure the story would hit as well. I just sort of, it's here's like at the starting, even though I didn't like the snowy part, that first battle you have when the blizzard is going. Yeah. Which, by the way, that part I loved. I want to make sure whenever I diss about the starting, and it's not that. There were
some choices, if you remember, even within the mission.
There were some, but I don't even know if I need the, to me, Red Dead, Rockstar stuff feels a certain way. Bully, by the way, was not, it was open school, but it had a little city that you rode your bike around. You could barely go into any places, but because when you did the missions, they were so goofy and nostalgic and funny, I was like, dude, that's Rockstar. I'm not 100% sure I want them to switch to something that's a Skyrim or something.
Sim within the mission.
Right. To me, Rockstar does a certain thing, and I get that people see these other games, but I got to admit, man, we've seen the Cyberpunk way of handling it, which is a lot like Ubisoft. We see the Ubisoft way of handling things. We see immersive sims like Prey. I love the idea of Rockstar doing a Prey style game, but not in GTA. Like, to me, those don't mix together. To me, GTA is like, you know, fun, jump into multiplayer, do crazy shit. But then when you do a mission, it's these cool characters and they need to say stuff. Imagine if you broke up the pacing of some of the one-liners between Michael and, you know, Trevor. It would just not, it wouldn't have any emotional weight, man.
Yeah, and that's where all their a lot of their attention to details details from.
Right.
Like, for example, riding far away in the horse from someone you're riding with.
Yeah.
How they shout their lines instead of like say it. You know, a lot of that stuff comes from a very tight narrative.
Yeah, and they sort of you could say railroad. I think that I guess that's actually fair, but at the same time, man, it's a good train ride. You know, if you are railroaded, it's like, you know what though? I mean, if I'm looking at it and I'm playing it, I'm enjoying them for the most part, and it's just a different thing, and it's okay to. People are starting to do like these comparisons where everything needs to be grabbed in every single part of every game, and it's like it's almost like a book that mixes fantasy, magic, post-apocalyptic, sci-fi, and like world politics, and at some point you're like, that's a lot, man. Maybe you should, scope creep or subject creep. And this brings up, I don't know if you guys saw, but there was a mod yesterday for Starfield that lets you see your character when you're in discussion. And I pointed out this very fact. I was like, she doesn't say anything, so the pacing is broken. Because you see the character going,
yeah, why do you?
Because there's no voice.
There's no voice.
And so then you pick, and then the camera flashes back to the person, and it looks broken. And in a way, if you look at Red Dead, if you look at Bully, if you look at LA Noire, which I personally it's one of my favorite games. Rockstar does. It's okay, man. It's okay if Rockstar does something. I mean, it's obvious that it's successful. You know, it's just it's their thing.
Like, for example, one of my favorite things about RDR2 is its slow-paced nature, and it's like things take a long time to do, and you got to deliver the pelts, and I love that. Everything is super methodical and natural, and some people don't like it. Well, that's just the game isn't for you, right?
Right. What about chat? What do you guys think of the idea of Rockstar just sticking with Rockstar? I see somebody is asking you guys a question. Nabarto says, are Johnny and Abzy thinking of going back to Diablo 4? Season 2. I think that came up this morning, so we can talk about that as a full subject in a bit if you want, because I think I saw Abzy saying he is, right?
Yeah, I'm interested in checking it out. Yeah, see if it's interesting or not.
So let's about this in particular. And by the way, Astro might be talking about what I'm going to mention here. In Spider-Man, when you're swinging, Peter talks as if he's out of breath, and so it's like Red Dead, where if you're far away, he screams. In Spider-Man, he is out of breath when he's swinging, and he's not. He delivers the lines differently. That's only one change, but that change is enough for me. That role-playing right there buys... When you hear him swinging, he's like, okay, I'll be there in a second. Or, okay, I'll be there in a second. That, to me, is like, oh, shit, he's reacting...
It's the little things that matter,
passive.
Man.
It doesn't require you to do... whatever you are doing, the game is looking and going... Okay.
It's reacting to that.
Yes. And Rockstar's good at it, man. Rockstar, like, I would like to see more of that. I think that'd be cool.
That's the type of attention to detail I appreciate way more than the detail in the environment. You know
Me
what
too.
I mean? That type of like thinking about how to properly deliver something that makes sense to what the player is doing. I love that shit. If you, for example, when you go to like a quest giver, but you've already killed the person they want you to kill.
Yes. I knew you were going there. Just that one
thing of like, oh, I already did it. Just that, you know, is enough for me. I love that shit. Yeah.
And I hate it when you have to come in and out of a conversation. If you've killed somebody,
like, I'm gonna go do it now.
And then you come back.
I just did it.
But when you show up and they're like, hey, blah, 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 and you're like, actually, there's something. It's almost like when you have a worker, if you're a boss, and you need them to do something, you tell them, they're like, actually, I already did that. There's that feeling of like, dude, you got my
vindication.
Right? You are awesome. You know, and it's just like you pat them on the back, they pat you on the back, and it's like, team, brother, gang.
I think in Starfield that happened where he's like, oh wow, look at you, you know, you're way ahead of the game or something like that.
Yeah, it feels good. It reacts to what you're doing. And I think Red Dead, there's times in Red Dead where maybe that doesn't happen all the time because they are sculpting Arthur, but overall I want Rockstar to do Rockstar. I do not want Rockstar to do Ubisoft. I don't want Ubisoft.
Good at what they do,
They're good at what they do.
Let them do their own thing, man.
And it feels when it hits LA Noire for me, Bully even more. When there's an emotional part in a Red Dead game, I would say I feel more emotional in a Rockstar game than most any other games. Michael, when he sees his wife, and like Trevor,
their character writing,
Rockstar's
character, fucking insanely
primo.
good.
Especially when you consider what they're doing, because they're pretty terrible people.
Terrible people.
Remember when we said, "Are you the protagonist?"
Exactly,
remember when we said, "Who's actually the villain?" In GTA,
I'm the bad guy.
You're the bad guy. Yeah, and and you or Michael's apathetic, like he's like the middle-aged guy who doesn't care anymore.
The anti-hero, dude.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you know
they're
what I mean?
they full are and
still
they're
root for
apathetic
them.
about it. Oh, dude, absolutely. Because even if you're young, you know it can happen. You hear about midlife crisis or whatever, and if you're older, you may have had it happen. And if neither one of those happen, usually Rockstar is good as having another character comment on what's going on. And Trevor, like, giving you a side eye, or Franklin or Lincoln. Lincoln's from Mafia. It's Franklin, right? In that is it Franklin in that one?
Franklin.
Yeah. There's always somebody saying something, or your son, Michael's son in GTA. You're like, oh, dude, the stuff he says to his dad, and you're like, I have friends who are great parents, and their kids grew up to just be shit.
Yeah.
Just terrible people. And you hear them talk to their kids or their parents, and you're like, God damn, man. They raised you. They're good parents. They give you, a little bit of rope to hang yourself with occasionally, but there's that teen angst. Yeah, that the puberty hits, and suddenly your voice is cracking, and you're being a dick to everybody. And I was a dick to my parents. I remember some of the things I said. I'm like,
flowing.
Oh, yeah, testosterone's flowing, and you get, like, the kids feel themselves a little bit. It's like, oh, right, and the ego gets going. Johnny, by the way, your music, man, side topic, you checked out Ren? Have you checked out Ren, Johnny? I don't know what, on YouTube?
Ren.
Think you would love the stuff.
I'll check it out.
Okay. Red Dead 2 has absolutely shined a light on predatory companies, Ubisoft pumping out RPG slime. RDR2 is the pinnacle of next generation immersion. Yeah, I wouldn't agree with that. I get where you're coming from, but I just don't, like, I'm not even a Ubisoft. Most of the games I wait for a sale, but it's like, I just don't agree with that. In fact, you could say RDR2 in particular, with its online mode, is predatory as fuck, or tried to be. And people didn't buy into it. GTA was predatory, multiplayer in particular. So I don't think Take-Two is any better than anybody else. I think
as long as they don't touch my single player experience, dude, do whatever the fuck you want with the multiplayer.
That's what I say too, right? When we talk about that, we're like, yeah, leave me alone. I want to run this thing the way I want to run it. Yeah. Have they spoken about the acquisition? A little bit we did, Felton. There wasn't much to say other than I think we all agreed it's great to be done talking about the acquisition, is sort of, I think, what our takeaway was, right? Pretty much just like, it's just good to be done. Hush Al Ghul, do you think, due to game graphics being stagnant, people look for improvements in other areas, like wanting to interact with everything? Yeah, I think that, I don't think they're stagnant, but I do know exactly what your thought process is. And I would say that when games start looking good, all of them, we start looking for more. There's a baseline, and you're like, well, Liza P, this came up. People were like, well, there's no mystery, but it's still doing what it's doing. But at the same time, people are like, well, we've already been there, and they wanted a little bit more, even though I think a lot of people loved Liza P. And I think Liza P succeeded because it didn't do more. I truly believe
it succeeded because it was a tight experience.
It was a tight experience. It was like the RDR2 of Dark Souls. That is what it was like. Because it railroads you. You can't. I told Johnny that box, or no, the ladder. Remember the ladder discussion, Johnny? I told Johnny there's a ladder in one place that if I mention that ladder, every person who's ever played Liza P would know, because there's only that one ladder. There's no other mystery. There's no going around. There's
in that sense, okay.
In that sense, and so they're railroading you, but at the same time, they're delivering a tight gameplay experience, and you can want more because we've seen more. But not everybody can deliver everything. AKB.
Yeah, and then on the flip side, you have Lords of the Fallen, which is trying to do a lot more and
running into problems.
Worlds, and then running into a lot of problems.
It's a good point. Thanks, guys, for bringing that up. That's a good point. Hush. AKB says, thanks for the great content. 2 podcasts a week is awesome. Keep on rocking. Greetings from Serbia. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. I think the 2 podcasts a week is like saved my life, man. It's a blast for me. SBZ, $5 super chat. I agree. Rockstar should be Rockstar, but I still hope they would do something on the clunky gameplay. So I agree with that. Actually, that I like what Absy likes. I don't want to turn off the animation for picking shit up like you can do in Horizon, and I hated that addition. But first person feels a lot better in RDR2. And
like in responsiveness, yeah.
In response,
it's not as realistic.
It's not as weight. Yeah, the animations and how. Yeah. And I do
Especially
agree.
when I was playing it on PS4 at 30 FPS, like the shit would be slow. Like
I talked to Solid Rev. He's like, I don't know what you'd call. I don't know what he is. But I like, I've talked to him before, and he's a very honest guy. And I know that some people don't like some of the stuff he said, but it's like I've talked to him at times about different stuff, and he was bringing up RDR, and he was like, and I joked about it in my review, saying that like at times Arthur controls like a bag of like wet dicks, like that. It's just like, but once you buy into it, you can buy into it. At the same time, I agree with SBZ. It would be nice if they made it a little bit like in Western movies, people are usually fast, and Arthur's middle-aged in a Western world, so he's sort of beat
sluggish,
up, and we know some of the other stuff that happens in the story. Maybe that's why they did it, but I would like a little bit more smoothness in the third person. Like Bethesda's really bad in third person. Bethesda's basically a camera hack in third person. Like, it's terrible in Starfield. Yeah. I'm sorry, I do not like the third person in Starfield.
I agree.
So I would like them. I would like Rockstar. I don't know what Rockstar would need to do. How would Rockstar maybe turning speed is a little off, I think, sometimes when I'm playing. I feel like in RDR, especially at 30F, when you were doing the old consoles, turning was like, it felt a little.
The thing is,
stoved.
Every movement has a wind up to it. So if you think back to The Witcher 3, that's another example of that.
It is.
Oh, but
Witcher
that one was
3,
way clumsier. Holy.
Sure.
Yeah,
but just to,
clumsy.
If people,
go for it.
just
Sorry.
to give an example, like let's say that you're looking forward and you hit to go to the side, your character will actually do like this weird wind up. That's not really a part of your input command.
Yeah,
so
I get what
it kind
you're
of
saying.
feels like there's extra motions that have to take place.
I like it though. I just wish they were a little faster.
A little faster.
A little.
They can surely fine tune that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Javier. I don't think he's come back to the 15th podcast we've done. As it bounced around. But he's an animation guy, and he's been in our Discord explaining. They do the animations, then you have to adjust the rigging and the speed of the animation. Maybe just a little bit more speed on that animation of picking stuff up in games. Aloy, I think, does the scoop, if I remember right. I haven't played it in a little bit.
I don't want that in Red Dead, though. I want the slow.
No, I don't either. But I don't want. I want all those animations. I would like the pickup to be a tiny bit faster. Okay. It is. It like I love the animation. I want that because it feels like Arthur. It feels like a guy picking something up. He's got some creaky knees or something.
It's funny how the animations are always the same. So whether you're being shot at or you're chilling, fishing, the speed of your windups and animations are always slow.
Right.
But in reality, what would happen is if you're getting shot
adrenaline
at,
would be running.
Yeah, you're gonna react quick, right? Like you're gonna.
That'd be hard to switch.
Zooming.
That'd be hard to switch.
It is, yes. That
dynamic. That would be rough. Can you imagine as a programmer being like, okay, do I get shot once
so we need
and then
3
speed up?
degrees of intensity here. What's going on?
Yeah. We were talking about that yesterday in the chat in the Discord about different games handling animations differently. By the way, Johnny, you let me down. You didn't come into chat. I know you were watching a show, but we were in there and we were talking. It's all right.
We can talk about it. I'm hooked on a new show in addition to.
Show talk.
We'll talk about it at the end. What'd you say?
Nick, shut up.
What'd you say, Abzy?
What the fuck?
Nothing. I just sleep when you guys talk about shows.
What are you talking about? You were in a fucking show conversation for 2 hours with me yesterday.
Something I was watching. Yeah.
Oh well, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Abzy's the guy who doesn't pretend to be interested, even though you pretend to be interested in his shit. I'm just joking. I'm mostly interested in what you say.
No reciprocation.
No reciprocation. He's like, yeah, you're like, hey, I love this, and he's like a character in Starfield in the camera.
I'm an NPC.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're the. Hey, speaking of that, did you guys see that Starfield improved the third level citizens in Starfield, the graphics of their faces?
Yeah, that's
very cool.
Third level, like
I call them third level.
The third tier.
Yeah, they're like they got some rough ass faces on those. There's other games that we'll talk about that later.
About the eye contact, because they're always looking at you with those like
Those little beady eyes watching you at all times.
Yeah.
I agree. God of War Ragnarok could have been more succinct on the storytelling. Yeah, God of War Ragnarok I loved. Alexa, turn off. Sorry, I was playing music. I would agree that Ragnarok I liked, but there was some clumsiness in Ragnarok. Don't you guys think that like Johnny was also talking about when it comes to the same animations playing, do you guys ever get tired of the same chest animation where you like kick a chest to open it? It's like sometimes
it depends on the chest, because the God of War is a good animation, isn't it? Because it's like
it is, but it's the same one a lot, you know. So it's like after a while,
like, you know, when you play as a different character without saying whom, even though it's been around forever, but
everybody's gonna
like.
Oh, the fucking kid, dude.
Because you know the other person is like trying to do what Kratos does.
I hate that kid.
They're like, wait, this doesn't work.
Abzy just hates everything.
Huggable
hipster popping in to say hi. Thank you very much, man.
Hey.
Appreciate it. This is only our third attempt at this podcast. So Kneve says I might join Discord soon. If you do, appreciate it. If you don't, it's also fine. Turned off said this is the most honest Karak's ever been. Oh, when I said that I pretend to be interested in Abzy? Nah, I do. Most of the stuff you guys say is interesting. Shit, these guys have turned me on to games and shows I never thought of watching. So there's been I mean, that's
Death Stranding, right?
Yeah, we turned him around on that one.
I walked into that. God damn, man. That's one of the most embarrassing conversation turns I've ever had. I walked straight into that. I should have known he was going to mention Death Stranding. I walked right into it. Like, fucking idiot, man. No, not like Death Stranding. Damn it. That game is just not over, or just not getting played. Javier says Alexa sabotaging the pod. Oh yeah.
You said that.
It is true though that you know, it was playing music in the background. I'm like, God, I hope that wasn't triggering the copyright. You know, what if the music was playing and it was triggering the copyright this entire time? Abzy loves fish. No, nobody loves fish. Let's not talk about the fish story.
Okay.
Mike says Abzy doesn't like the boy. JB Boom, what would be the best setting for a game like RDR2 or GTA, a new one? Here's my Cyberpunk.
Ooh,
if Red Dead said we're doing a Cyberpunk game, I would be...
Yes,
it would be so
Rockstar level
Blade Runner dude running around hunting like something in like I used to love the idea of being in the Citadel in Mass Effect, and so like a space station like Elysium or Mass Effect, and instead of on Earth, because I think a space station you can do the entire space station and not feel like, why can't I go out of the town, you know, or why is there a barrier? Where on a space station you could have an amazing, you know, 360 like landscape world, like at the end of Interstellar when he goes into the space station and, you know, the land is all curved up because it's all
that's cool, man.
That'd be great. Doom Reaper says I love Hecklefish. Oh, more fans of Y-Files. Yeah, Y-Files is an amazing YouTube channel, man. That thing is awesome. Let's talk about Diablo 4. So why is it this season that's got you more interested, Abzy, or what's going on?
I didn't even look into it. Yeah.
So just time wise, it's just you want to step in.
Literally, just want to see if it has anything interesting. But just like sometimes, dude, I like some games that I don't have to think about and just do shit while I do something else. You know what I mean? Just some of those passive things. And I've been just doing that lately, and I just, you know, something else that to check out. Maybe it's interesting. I heard
Have you looked at
QOL improvements.
Any of the changes?
No,
he said he hasn't.
So,
he hasn't. So.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
No,
so
sorry.
Check this out, right? 40% quicker, level 100. So to get to level 100, it's 40% quicker.
Interesting. Okay.
They have a bunch of other stuff like new vampiric powers they're introducing as part of the season. They're better drop rates for bosses. They're rebalancing how dungeons work, so there's less like downtime and weirdness, so there's more density in there. The inventory is being changed so that gems don't take up your inventory. Nice. It's a very big change. Some other quality of life stuff there. The renown points you have carry over. So there were some things that carried over, like the altars, if you created a new character in a new season. now all your renown, this comes from exploring the map and all this stuff, carries over to your new character. They're also adjusting mounts so they're better.
Less janky.
Yeah, so there's like disconnection, death prevention. You know, there's some really good quality of life stuff.
It's good.
Here's the question for Diablo 4. Is all this free when you buy the base game?
Mm-hmm.
Well, not the season, right? The season.
Yeah, the season. No, you don't have to pay for the season. No.
Yeah.
No. It's not an expansion. It's not a DLC. It's a new season.
Yeah, then you pay to activate. You get a pass, and then you activate it on a season. That's how the last one worked.
That's battle pass. That's for like extra skins and shit. You don't have to pay for it to play in the season.
In the thing that just came out some time ago, right? I think
Astro says it's all free.
Yeah. There's no way they would pay.
Seasons are free, Doom Reaper says. So are you thinking of maybe some DLC, Johnny, that maybe a specific package of some kind that you're thinking of? Because they're all saying it's free. As Johnny got grifted and had to pay for something. I'm just joking. That would suck.
Because
that's battle pass, which is like skins.
Yeah, I had a battle pass, and so
yeah, there's a paid battle pass.
So I guess you can access the season, but if you have a battle pass, you have to choose which season to activate it on.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah. No, that's all right. That's all right. I mean, it's information to know. I think with Diablo, the idea, because I was asking people if they were returning to it. I think when you look at Diablo, one of the nice things, like Absy said, is it's a game that yes, you can try to be the perfect Diablo player, but I don't worry about that. I'm just sort of clicking shit and casting cool spells. And so the idea of leveling 40% faster is pretty cool to me. You know, getting more stuff, getting it faster, whatever. And then on top of that, you have this other stuff, a battle pass, and you have seasons, and you can jump in. It's nice to see Diablo 4, at least from what I've seen, get a more positive response, obviously, than 3 did. You know, with the auction house and all that stuff. I mean, they had their issues, and they still do. But it seems to me that they're pretty quick on fixing it. Is that the overall? That the overall thought that everybody's having?
The thing is, a lot of people's issues came from more of an ARPG sense of like the end game issues and like stuff outside of the stuff people care about
of the campaign,
for the longevity of games and like the systems there, right? For me personally, Diablo to me, like even Diablo 2 and even Diablo 1, I love the atmosphere and the story and just how it plays. I like the darkness of it all, and how they don't hold back, right? D3, the issue with it is that it was too cartoony, too
I've heard that so much.
Like an arcadey thing, right? It was enjoyable as couch co-op. I loved it. It was really, really fun. But the reason I really, really enjoyed D4 is because it had like a very, very interesting story, a very good, cast and great
voice acting,
and, a lot like one of the best cutscenes I've ever seen in my life. Awesome atmosphere, visuals, and it played really, really well. And after those like 30 hours that I played, I was just done, and I enjoyed my time with it. I'm not like I'm not disregarding all the issues people have and the complaints. For sure they are there, because ARPGs are supposed to be long lasting. It's a live service game, but in that sense, that's why I liked it way more than Diablo 3.
Diablo 3, I remember playing on the console for the review and just going into every fucking building and just rolling and smashing their pottery and just being like, it's a mess. That's why I like Diablo, is everything's, you can break most things. You can just go to town, destroy stuff without paying too much attention. And then, you have the in-game stuff where if people really want to get down and dirty and serious about DPS and stuff, because I don't get super serious. I want to do as much damage as possible, but if something looks cool, I'll probably use the cool looking thing. I'll just be like,
because some animations are really just fun to
they
use.
Look like awesome, right?
For the warrior, I just loved using upheaval, even though like some other thing was better. What I mean?
Because or a gun in Ascent, I would grab a gun in Ascent and be like, you know what, I'm just gonna, it's not doing as much damage, but it's like, it looks friggin' wicked, and I just stuck with it. Some super chats real quick. Hush Al Ghul, $5 super chat. Again, thank you for these. They help the channel immensely. Speaking of animations, Spider-Man Miles has a lot of animations to the point that it's a little annoying.
Really?
So, I can't talk about Spider-Man 2, but I can talk. I did the Spider-Man Miles on the PC and then the original one. There are a lot of fidgeting, I guess, that goes on in Spider-Man. And then also they've captured the anime more in Miles than they did in Spider-Man, I think. Miles is a little bit more, I don't know, like the stuff you see, a little bit more springy, Gumby-like. And I definitely had a little bit of an issue of visually parsing sometimes where I was coming out of a swing or something because he was doing his Gumby shit, you know, and which was awesome because of Spider-Man. You sort of have to buy off on Spider-Man. But I agree with that. Josh L says, I'd love to see a Maya or Aztec setting from RDR2 or from Rockstar. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Interesting.
Gearless, $10 or $20 super chat. Long-time lurker, first-time super chat. Thank you for the no BS reviews and direct comments to games and narratives. Keep it coming and loving the podcast. Thank you very much, man. We'd love to do it. I appreciate that very much. Even though I had somebody who said, you know, you've lost. They said they followed me for 3 years. I just got a DM about this. And they said that I disappointed them enough to cry because of because I liked Starfield. And I was like, how can you watch that long without knowing that there will be a time where I'm still playing Starfield? Like, I played it last night. So it's just like, I mean, that's one game where maybe we don't agree. But it was sort of one of those times where you're like, man, I wish they weren't so. And I love that people are invested. But being that invested is like, hey, man, you got it. I mean, we do it in chat sometimes where we get in arguments in chat. And it's like, I have to make sure that people know that it doesn't mean anything. Like, if you like something and I don't, you tease me about Death Stranding, it doesn't mean I'm going to hate you tomorrow. You know, it's just a conversation. But people get so tight about stuff. And it sucks, man. I mean, I'm going to be honest. That didn't suck because when somebody's saying they shed a tear, I'm like, it's best you don't stick around. Like, because that's a little stalkery. At some point, that's like, that dude's going to show up and leap over my fence. But we talked about it at the start of the podcast. It happens with games, and we're all good. Like, we'll argue in here, but it's like 5 seconds later, you're laughing about something else. And I wish more people could be serious, invest, but at the same time, not be
too emotionally charged, you know?
Yeah, and latch, especially with me, yeah, it's no BS, but it's still me. So it's still my version of no BS, which means I'm going to say exactly what I felt, but it doesn't mean we're always going to agree. I mean, there's been games I love that you guys, or shows that you guys are like, it's just not working for me, you know? But
yeah, for sure, yeah.
It sucks, man. It sucks to see that because it's like that, I think, is also one step away from that person, you know, calling you names and shit. It's just sucks. Sam Torres, $5 super chat. Glad you guys enjoying the podcast. 2 a week is incredible for my outlook. I've had a lot of people say that the Wednesday one has got them through some shit days, which is cool. Because Absy and I just go off, man. We're going to go off here at the end, but like, we try to stick to it. In fact, I have a cool question from somebody. We like to do the weird ones. Has there ever been a moment in a game where a character's action made you pause? And I've already got mine. Made you seriously either think about the ramifications or pause because they did an action. And mine is the torture scene in GTA 5. I think that that Trevor's stuff, Trevor also at the starting when he kills somebody, you know, at the very starting. I mean, it's not a spoiler. How old's GTA 5? Like 25 years old or something, you know, that's what it feels like. But
so an action they already did, not like a choice you were
like right, or it's in a cutscene and it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like it's happening regardless. Like you got here and
my god. Okay, this is if you guys don't want spoilers for Nier Automata, maybe mute for a bit. I'll raise my hand to say that I'm talking about Nier Automata. It's gonna start now, okay? In Nier Automata, and one of the playthroughs, there's a robot called Pascal, okay? And it's there comes a point where you either where he is very, very depressed because of something that has happened, which is like a lot of the robots he was caring for just kind of died. A lot of his children, basically, or her children. Sorry, I don't know if it's a he or a her. And you have to erase his memory or kill him. And in both those, the thing is with that game, when you go in to erase their memories, you play a mini game and slowly destroy his memories one by one. Yeah. And be like, what? And then progressively it goes like, oh, what's my name? You know, it goes worse and worse and worse. Yeah. And that was one of the hardest things. Like definitely made me pause.
Yeah, dude,
and
that's a good one.
Over.
Okay, spoiler over. Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one. I hadn't thought about that. What about you, Johnny? Is there any character moments in a game where you're like, damn, son? Maybe made you completely pause them?
Yeah, there certainly have been, but I'm trying to think of one good one.
Anything from, well, the Dark Souls games aren't usually like that. Has there been anything maybe along the lines of Witcher or Mass Effect? Mass Effect had some choices you made that I think for a lot of people, they were like, ooh, you know, killing a comrade, if a comrade was, you know.
I do remember in Final Fantasy 16, the protagonist says, I love you to Jill, and she says, I know.
Ooh,
that was a
Han Solo moment. Yeah, I know. Yeah, non-reciprocal.
Yeah.
I got... Rogerio was saying something, and I wanted to pop off on it. Sorry, Rogerio, I missed your comment. You said something. Oh, I like your channel in the Discord. When somebody says something, you dislike it, and someone else dislikes it on Discord, they just say it and move on. It's great. Yeah, it's a blast in there, man. It's totally awesome. Anybody in chat, you have anything where, like, a character does something where you're just like, oh, man, this is rough? I'm assuming you're talking about the character's actions or interactions. On Mass Effect 1, there's a side mission where you rescue some soldiers from being experimented on by Cerberus, and if you let them get revenge, they commit suicide after. Dude, that's some harsh shit right there. That's a rough moment. That is a rough moment. What else we got for news? Looking in here. Oh, Modern Warfare 3. John, we were talking about Game Pass. Oh, stuff. You put up Dredge 1 million sales. What's that about? So they've got 1 million total now?
Yeah, they hit 1 million sales, Dredge.
Damn. It's
cool to see,
great
right?
game.
It's a game a lot of people liked.
And Dredge has DLC too, right? Dredge did DLC.
Did they?
Yeah, I think Dredge has like an expansion or DLC, if I remember right. Yeah. What else? Can Microsoft return Leisure Suit Larry to its former glory? Rick Flair asks. Did you guys ever do Leisure Suit Larry? It's too old for you guys, right? You never did that point and click.
I didn't do it, but it wasn't like I was there. I was a gamer when it was coming out. And
stuff okay.
Yeah. I've seen it played by someone.
I've seen it played a lot. I've seen playthroughs or people playing it and shit.
I think it'd be hard to do a game like that now. Today's current market.
Yeah, a little bit.
Now. How do you you get that thing where
play as an OnlyFans manager or something, you know?
Yeah, it'd be pretty difficult for that to happen. Oh, Electro does mention the one that Abzy and I talked about last podcast, which is no Russian in Call of Duty.
Oh yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima was messed up. The woman you helped cheat on her husband with another woman.
What the?
I don't even remember that.
I don't remember that. What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't even remember that one.
That's based.
Let's see what else we got. Here's the one I want to talk about. Abzy, EDF 6.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, dude.
So they announced it. It does, dude. I'm telling you right now, man.
They should improve it, dude. It's 2023, man.
EDF has been the same game for 10 fucking years, man. Talking about
10, I thought.
No, I just mean that was the last time it like made some graphics change or whatever. But it's just, I mean, EDF is EDF is EDF. They just do not, like improve it, no matter what.
No iteration.
No. Does anybody here play EDF in the chat? Because I don't know about you guys. Like EDF is a cool comfort. It's almost like Diablo. You can go in and you can do some stuff, but it's like, damn,
it's
man.
It's very goofy, very fun. I don't know if we ever played together. I know I played with Silver.
I played with Silver once. Yeah. So we may have. That would have been EDF 4.
5?
No, I don't think I played. Man, did I play 5? I might even reviewed 5.
I played 5 with Silver.
Did you play 5 with Silver?
Yeah, that's the only one I've played in the series.
Oh, okay.
It was really funny because you jump in there and there's these gigantic frogs that can roll. So they're the size of a building, but they roll with the goofiest animation. Yeah, I love the size of enemies in that game. It's very cool.
Mick Deal says, sorry to be a pain. Message on Patreon on Discord link is not working. Sorry to bring up. Sorry to be a pain. Message on Patreon on Discord link not working. So in Patreon, when you join Patreon, there's an FAQ on their page, and it walks you through joining. I don't actually have a part of you joining the Discord. That's done through Patreon. If you're saying that's not working, DM me on Patreon, and we'll get to it. So I think with EDF 5 is amazing. Ruggiero says, what does EDF 5 stand for? Earth Defense Force, right?
Yep.
Do you guys think they're the shittiest defense force ever if we're on 5? Like, by the time you get to 5, it's like, seriously, man.
Insanity. You just keep doing the same.
Yeah, keep
thing,
doing and expecting
different results.
yeah. EDF is a blast, though. Oh, somebody says it's more like Dynasty Warriors. Yeah, EDF and Dynasty Warriors definitely have like that overall feeling, that sort of sameness, same feeling to them. Another one was popping up. What do we think will be the biggest change that Microsoft and Activision possibly make now that they're joined?
What could they possibly?
What is something that we're sort of, what's like a big change we think might happen now that it's done?
I don't think there's going to be like a massive drastic change right off the bat, other than like games being available on Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
I'm expecting more of a slow creep kind of. Maybe a change of management is good. Maybe a slow creep kind of change where things get progressively better and less bad.
So are you thinking that we won't see, like me joking about December and suddenly COD is Christmas COD? Do you think that won't happen and it'll be more?
What do you mean by Christmas COD?
I was saying Christmas COD, where all the games are like they announced that like all the COD games are on Game Pass for free.
Oh no, that I would expect that I'm not against. Yeah, like that could probably happen where it's like, oh, by the way, all the CODs are now in Game Pass. Maybe after Christmas, maybe in Christmas before. But I was saying like in the terms of like quality of games, or you know, microtransaction stuff, or you know, all these issues.
Do you guys, when we look at Activision, is there something you guys are ever looking forward to from Activision? Is there a game series you like from them? Do you look forward to CODs? Are you? I mean, like, do they have something in their IP list? Or is there something that they've done that you're like, I like this game? Because Tony Hawk.
Was Tony Hawk Activision? It was, right?
I think it was, and they had a really bad Tony Hawk game one time too. Guitar Hero, yeah. I even put it on our thumbnail. Yeah, Guitar Hero. Yeah. He name-checked, Bobby name-checked Guitar Hero. So were you guys big Guitar Hero fan? Like, did you play a bunch of that?
Yeah.
Oh, did you? Did you?
So much.
Did you do the drum sets, or were you more the... Yeah,
I was drummer. I actually learned how to drum from Guitar Hero.
Absolutely.
And then I was a drummer for a while because it's the same exact motions.
It's the real thing.
Yeah. Unlike the guitar, right?
Except for the hi-hat pedal. But no, unlike the guitar for sure. Yeah.
It was crazy how many versions they remember when they really started getting big on those, and it was like the Def Leppard version, the Led Zeppelin version, the Aerosmith. Yeah, the Aerosmith version. It was just like any big 80s band. Yeah, they were. Did you? Were you an Aerosmith fan when you grew? Oh,
I loved them a lot because I was playing a lot of. I think it was Dead or Alive 3, the one on the 360.
Yeah,
and I had that awesome Aerosmith song that I just couldn't get enough of. And
Hush Al Ghul says StarCraft. Yeah, yeah. Wouldn't that be?
Oh, Blizzard side of things. Yeah,
Blizzard side of things.
I would like to see Warcraft. I would love for Warcraft 4, especially if they can do a story as good as. I don't think Arthas' story is ever gonna be. Nothing's ever gonna be Arthas' story, but if they could do it, that would be awesome. Warcraft 4, especially because Warcraft was very, very significant in its game modes and player creativity. Obviously, I always say I love when games allow for player creativity to be implemented because that's just endless content, right?
Yeah.
Made by players for players.
Yep.
And Dota, League of Legends, all of that shit came because of Diablo, because of Warcraft and Footman Frenzy and tower defense and all these things, and having a new like a modern version of that would be fucking amazing to see what people make.
Would you guys be okay with a StarCraft/Warcraft looking like StarCraft and Warcraft of old, like Age of Empires 4 does, where they're just like, they're instead of doing the graphical like 3D, you can zoom down
just
to the guy.
Play well, run well, you know, just like very solid. You know, say what you want about Blizzard, but they're always good on polish, man. They polish their fucking game, except for that remaster. But like, I mean,
wait, what remind me?
Warcraft 3 Reforged, the one I was very, very looking forward to for a while. Yeah. That's why I was looking forward to it, was because of like a modern day Warcraft 3 with new game modes and stuff.
So G-Red says, I personally want another Jack and Dexter, but not by Naughty Dog. And then somebody else was bringing up Prototype. You guys remember Prototype, the dark superhero
people
one?
Hold on to Prototype.
I know
so
people.
Much.
Prototype's like yeah, and I gotta admit, I thought Prototype was rough as f, man. Like Prototype.
I played it for a while, just went around, killed shit, and then I was done with it.
But
but that type of shit is fun, man. We don't see that anymore. Remember the Incredible Hulk, the open world one? It rated very badly, but I loved that game. There was a lot of cool shit, like where you just go around and shoot shit, kill shit, destroy shit, you know.
And it was more of the anti-hero superhero, which maybe at this time with Spider-Man doing well and Wolverine coming, maybe they just are like, let's do a Prototype 3 and just, because Infamous isn't got a new one. You know, it's like Infamous is sort of dead as a series. And
hopefully you can kill people with the black suit and Spider. You probably can't. But you know.
I don't think Spider-Man games are ever going to allow that. You know, even though Sony now has that investment in Spider-Man and they control some of the IP, I think.
Yeah.
You know,
dude, imagine like an R-rated Spider-Man where you're just like Venom Spider-Man and you just go around and murder shit.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
At some point, wouldn't you lose the cool side of Spider-Man being Peter and like having no money? Like, there's something about it where it sounds cool in the action side, but to me, Spider-Man's the dueling lives. So it falls apart a little bit, just like the movies did, where the more they interject these characters, the less they had of character. There was no characterization. It's like, here's a new character. Here's like they did Venom and stuff like that, and you're just like, after a while, Topher Grace, I think, was
Venom game. You know, that would be so fun.
You think a full-on Venom game would be enjoyable?
Play a villain. Yeah, something, dude. I want something like cool like that. Yeah.
What if what's his name who did the movie did the voice? What's his name? That got Batman Bane.
Fucking the dude guy.
Yeah.
Hardy.
Yeah.
I
was born in darkness. Judge Dredd with the changeable ammo. Yeah, Judge Dredd would be really cool.
Ooh, Judge Dredd. Yeah, that's I forgot who I was talking to about that. I would love to see. I think because we were discussing RoboCop, it's like, I would love to see like a Judge like taking place in that massive mega building or something. Or that would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, keep an eye on the AD guys, because the big deal did happen about 4 months ago, where Rebellion, I believe, was the ones who bought all the AD rights, which includes the Trooper game, which is where Judge Dredd first showed up in the comics, as well as Judge Dredd. Okay. I could see people doing a Judge Dredd. You couldn't do it in the 80s version. You'd have to do the version with what's his name from Star Trek. What the hell's his name?
The Dredd version, right?
Yeah, the newer version of Dredd. Yeah. You'd have to do that. I think that'd be cool. Punisher game. Yeah, Punisher would be awesome. Do you guys think that What? It was one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, interrogations and shit.
Dude.
Man.
Talk about pause. There we go. Yeah, dude. Pause, man. When you like,
and the fucking aquarium with the piranhas and shit.
And the shark. You could have the shark bite his head off, or you could grab the guy's head and push it onto the mammoth tusk, put him in the oven, chrome him. You could chrome somebody. And I remember I had a friend who was like, I'm going to go home. He's very nice, but he could not do it. He was like, I can't continue to watch this. And I was just like,
brutal.
He was like, dude, this is not for, it was, and they didn't hide shit. It was like in your face, which by the way, if you're going to do Punisher, that is what you need.
Of course.
It's in the name. It's got to
torture someone with an ice cream, dude.
Yeah. Oh, dude, one of the best parts of a movie ever. Rogerio says, I would like the dude who voices the old gunslinger in Call of Juarez to voice Dredd. What's his name? Oh man, I can't remember his name, but he's a really good voice actor. He might be dead though, just so you know. That's one of the problems with a lot of these older shows and stuff is, who do you throw in there for the voice actor? Because I need it to be nailed.
Yeah.
Well, right. Yeah, because what's his name? What's the main guy who does
literally Batman?
Yeah, he's literally Batman. Yeah, that sucks. Modern Punisher is woke. Was it? I thought it was an okay show, but I wouldn't consider it woke.
Yeah, I don't think it was woke.
I think is woke now just a verb you use at any time if you dislike stuff? Maybe like it's woke.
It's if you dislike, like obviously to me it's a different thing. It's when they cut down on. Well, we don't have to get into that, but I think a lot of people use it very liberally.
I appreciate you
no
just
pun
saying
intended, but-
we don't have to get
No
in.
pun-
You liberally. Hey, woo, woo.
Hey,
Fucking liberals.
Josh L says Demolition Man would be cool. Yeah, I think there's supposed to be a Demolition Man sequel coming. I mean, you can't use Stallone, can you? I mean, Stallone's getting
the only demolition there is his
spine.
organic system. Like,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I love Stallone, but like even in the first Expendables, when he runs toward the plane, I remember with my friends in the movie theater, and I looked at him and I was like, that is a case of a man whose muscles are like pushing his body past the bone's ability to move. It looked like he was forcing the earth to move versus him running. It was so, and Stallone's never been a good runner. If you see any of his old movies, he looks like a goofball. He's not Steven Seagal goofy. He's not like, but it just never looked great. Yeah, Steven
It's
Seagal.
funny, for the longest time, Steven Seagal just never ran in movies.
Yeah,
Like,
and then when
there
you
was
see
a
him,
point he stopped running
well,
in
yeah.
movies. You would only see him walking, like slowly, like
Dude, he
going
got in a
after
fight in a
someone.
movie recently where he was sitting down the entire time. Like, that's when you know a guy's checked out.
Yeah.
When you're like, we're going to do a movie where I just sit
And
down
he
in
was
this office
legit,
chair.
right? I mean, he was a black belt, I think.
No, he's a black.
Wasn't
I
he?
mean, he ran his own dojo in
Was
Japan. He was one of the first, if not the first,
Yeah.
American to do it. But
Mm.
again, it is a case of where
Sure.
movie,
Age and
and where movie, like mysticism overrides everything, and it starts to
Yeah.
become the truth, which it isn't. Yeah. Stallone doesn't run; he makes the earth rotate faster. Yeah, that is exactly what he looked like. McDeet says, "Guys, been a blast. You have a good one. Catch up on the flip side. Need some sleep. Sleeps for the wusses of the world. You don't need sleep. Come on.
Have a good night.
Okay,
See you,
I'll be
man.
nice.
I'm the
Have a good
wholesome
night.
version of you. I'm the
You're
good
the one
cop,
who
bad cop,
mentioned.
you know?
You're not wholesome. You mentioned Death Stranding.
No, I know I'm a dick.
What else do we got? You got any weird questions, Johnny? We're at 2.5 hours actually. We're not even as long as I thought. But you got any weird questions?
Yeah, I was thinking, you know how we have cravings, right, about certain foods?
Oh yeah.
So it may be, I don't know, maybe a burger, right? You might think of a burger and you go, yeah, cheese, melted cheese. Oh, yeah.
Oh, shut the fuck up, John.
Now I'm hungry
Yeah,
for
so
cheese. That's
now
how
I'm
fast
hungry
it is. But go ahead.
Immediately
Okay, yeah,
hungry.
go
It was instant, by the way. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what
As
if
soon
we
as you said
could-
melted. Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
go.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. What if we could like reprogram tactically? So if you could like strategically choose foods to feel about those foods like
Oh.
you feel about melted cheese. Do you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
If you could like reprogram your brain, and some people have done this to some extent,
Right.
where they crave
Force of will
fucking
kind of thing.
broccoli.
Yeah.
You know, they picture the broccoli with some butter on it, and they're like, dude, I'm gonna this is real, by the way. Some people have done this.
Yeah.
But of course, like the degree to which you can do it is in question. But I'm thinking like if we figure out a way, whether it's Neuralink or whatever, right, where you can rejigger your stimuli in the
Yeah.
brain, and you just configure it. You say, listen, man, I want to just love oatmeal, or you know, whatever.
Maybe not
pure,
oatmeal, but
healthy
yeah.
poison. Maybe not oatmeal.
Are you asking us
Would
what
you
food
do
would we
that?
choose?
What-
Oh, would
I
we
guess
do
my
it?
question is, do you think that's a good idea? Like, would you go
I think
for
it would
that?
certainly help people with the
Obesity problems.
obesity.
Yeah.
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 I think it would be a great thing for a lot of people to have that don't
But
have the
would you
willpower.
do that, or do you think something is lost by
I'd do it in a second.
chugging
Yeah, I
the
don't think-
broccoli? Okay.
Yeah, in that regard, I don't think there's like a moral quandary to that if that's what you're at, or if something is lost. So I'm a very indecisive person when it comes to a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I love all types of food, healthy, unhealthy, but I do like when I'm in a diet, I'm very committed most of the time. But to have the option to just be like, hey, only crave healthy stuff and never even, I'd do it 100%, because then I'd be like, there's no point in damaging
Yeah.
my body in any way. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I would do it in a second because I mean, as high energy as I am and waking up all the time to work out, I still have to fight weight all the time. Like, and I've had to fight weight since I was a little kid. When I was married, I think I was 290, and I was doing a lot of heavy lifting, but it obviously wasn't a perfectly healthy 290, and all the way down to 180, and now I'm 235, I think. So it's like, if I could replace cheese with lettuce, right? I would.
Imagine, yeah, if you could think about lettuce in the same way,
yeah,
dude.
because I eat cheese like other people would. Like, it's ridiculous. It's like bananas for me. It's like somebody peels a banana. Yeah, right. Like it's pretty nuts. So yeah, I definitely do it because I also when I don't have an attraction to a particular food, I don't get hungry, which is weird. It's almost like keto, where I have to force myself. So the idea of when I did get one, it would be lettuce or something like that just didn't cause any issues at all. You didn't have to work off, because I feel sometimes like he just said, Absy just said, I had a dessert, but I did biceps. You know, your brain is instantly like, got to work off yesterday's dessert.
It's a trade-off.
Yeah, so I'll wake up and it's like 3:45 in the morning, and I feel sometimes like nothing positive. I'm not going to be building. I'm just going to be destroying yesterday's bad choice. So if I could destroy yesterday's bad choice by itself, fuck yeah. I would. I absolutely.
Cutting off sugar was literally like a brain hack where I was like, boom, I'm no longer craving sugar.
Yeah. When you cut off sugar, it's a weird thing that occurs if you're able to do it. It's hard to be in keto for a long period of time. I was for 12 years. Like, and it is a long time, and I got accustomed to it. But when I did have sugar, finally, it was my brain instantly was like, I need that, right? I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, sugar cravings are ridiculous if you get them, and some people don't. I know friends of mine who don't have any they like rich food or something, but they don't have a sugar craving.
I still crave, for some reason, I'm hardwired, because I've always been this way. Like, even as a kid, I think that's because I eat this way, is every time I have lunch or something salty, I like to eat dessert after, something sweet after.
Oh, gotcha. Offsetting it.
I always get, but I do have keto options for that. Like, I have like keto brownies, keto cupcakes and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're better than me, because I had nothing but difficulty trying to make alternatives that weren't sugary. They tasted terrible.
Did you know that like stevia could be very good, or like it's just your taste buds where you can taste it as sour? And
mine is sour, sour and bitter. Yeah.
Mine is like it's like sugar to me. It's like completely
is it?
fine.
So my wife's that way. She's like, she bought some, and I'm like, why did you buy that? It's terrible. And then she told me it tasted sweet, and I'm like, what the? Because to me, when I hit it, it goes back here, and it's almost like lemon, but it's like lime. Where it's got the more bitter versus the sour.
I don't feel that.
Man, you're lucky, because that stuff is obviously a better choice. Hush Al Ghul, $5 super chat. Based on the last podcast topic, is there a villain in any media that if you're in his shoes, you would do the same or worse? Magneto would be my choice. Worse.
A villain.
A villain in... Oh, man, that's true. Magneto. I do understand why somebody would say Magneto, because Magneto, when especially the later movies, dove even more into his child, like him getting tricked by Kevin Bacon in the Generation, or whatever that movie was, with McAvoy. Yeah, that did go pretty wrong. Is there something that I would say worse? Worse.
Villain that I would do like I accept his moral compass or something and would do the same. Yeah,
or where his what he did, you were
justified.
Like I would have destroyed even more people. Like, where you get like that justified villain.
Kratos, where they say instead of 50% of people. No, not Kratos. Sorry,
no, not Kratos.
What am I thinking? The Marvel Avengers bad guy.
Thanos.
Blue guy. Thanos. Thank you.
Thanos.
Yeah, Thanos. Where he like erased 50% of people. I've heard some people say, push it to 75.
No, I say make 50% more food. That was the dumbest fucking choice I've ever seen. And I hated that.
Come up with any
Dude, you could have come up with so many different fixes. Yeah. He was like the dumbest super villain I've ever seen. What were you going to say? Absy, go for it.
One villain, I don't know if I'll do the exact same because that's kind of psychotic and I'm not a sociopath. But one villain I absolutely loved and I absolutely justified and absolutely backed was Dracula from Castlevania, Vladimir Tepesh. You know what I mean? and that motherfucker was, dude, because they were like killing his wife in the name of the religion and shit,
right,
just because she helped people with medicine, and they saw that as like witchcraft and shit. Like, fuck those guys, dude. You rain down all the demons on those motherfuckers.
Right, but they drank people too, right? They drank
well,
people, didn't they?
are you talking
Dracula,
about bleeding people
Dracula
out?
And his wives and stuff?
No, what?
No, so
this
is prior to him turning into Dracula.
Yeah, when he married his wife, she turned him into a great person, and he was like traveling the world as men do, and he was like, he wasn't doing, you know, vampire stuff and killing a lot. So
it was once they tortured his family and killed him.
And he started seeing like goodness and humanity and being a good person, and it was on that good arc, man. But then they just fucked over his wife because she was trying to help people, and it just drove him nuts. And I was like, I'm with you on that one, brother. Yeah, hell
yeah.
Rain
time to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
Fable 3, the brother. Man, that's a deep dive for me on Fable 3. I'd have to go play that game again to even know which part of that was. I think with villains, when I look at most villains in shows, I think they're not sold very well anyway. So a lot of times I have a problem. Like I was rewatching Superman with Cavill, and Zod shows up, and his entire reasoning and everything was just broken. And I get it, some people's reasoning is broken, but when you gain those superpowers, which technically they were from our son, it would have changed a bunch of stuff. It just didn't work. It was like, okay, none of this works. It doesn't pay off as well. And I find that more in movies with a villain, where the villain doesn't pay off well enough to make me even make the first decision. But I do get that if somebody tortures your family and stuff, there's a chance that if you had the ability to summon demons, you might summon some demons. You know, like it also, if you watch the movie, the original with Keanu Reeves, I don't know if you guys have seen the ancient one, Keanu Reeves and Oldman, he basically gives up at the end and lets him kill him. Technically, sort of lets it. Well, it doesn't really let him kill him, but he sort of reverts back to like, okay, you know, I've done some shit. But it's like after you've destroyed 200,000 people, you know, at what point is there a redemption arc? I think villains are pretty poorly done in shows and movies. I don't, you know, most of the time they just don't sell it very well. We see it in like Olympus Has Fallen, those kind of movies, where you see the bad guy and you're like, dude, this doesn't, you know, the bad guy's just there for the good guy to beat up all his people. That's the only reason he's there.
Bad guy.
Oh, dude, it is. And by the way, okay, let me tell you the worst thing a bad guy can do in any game, movie, show, cartoon, book, or anything, and that is let his people try to fight the good guy and walk off. And it happens in every movie, every comic book, every cartoon. They're like,
you guys handle him.
You guys handle him. It's like right now you could destroy him. And instead it's like, okay, you guys handle him. I'll be, you know, I'm going to be over here. And you're like, come on, man.
Like in anime where the bad guy is like imaginably powerful, but is fighting the good guy with like 10% of his power.
Yeah. Purposely.
He's like, oh no, this is not my ultimate form. Why not, motherfucker? Just kill.
Dude, I used to joke about that in all movies. Whenever this is not my final form, it's like, why? My final form would be my first form. Yeah. Like there would be no. It'd be like, dude, I'm showing up with my ace
Are we
form.
Sparring
here? Yeah, we're not sparring. Exactly.
It happens with a lot, like Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter, or I think there's a couple of
Hunter
where they like, like this, the anime.
That's an anime
where they like to toy around with the dude and they want like a fight out of it. There's the villain from Final Fantasy 14 as well. Xenos, right?
Yeah, true.
Where he just wants he wants the challenge. Like he's so bored and he wants to like fight the guy. He wants like his opposite.
Yeah. No, I get that, especially if you're sort of waiting for the good guy to make it worthwhile for you. But those bad guys don't. They usually don't. They don't trigger me. I like the really bad guys. I don't know why, but if a bad guy is like when they are, for example, the Reapers in Mass Effect, I was like, this is unknowable elder sign fucking Cthulhu god as robots, weird shit. You know, and the way they talked, the first time Shepard is down in that, you know, like the canyon, or he's in the caves or whatever, and he's talking to him on that. Yeah, and
Yeah.
who's he talking to?
Hologram.
Sovereign? Is that Sovereign that he's
Reaper?
talking to?
Yeah,
Or is
Sovereign.
it? Yeah. And the way it was talking about like humans and stuff, it's like AI right now, right? Chat GPT. But when it's talking, I remember as Shepard, that was the moment where I was like, anything's on the table. Anything is on the table. Like, this is beyond. And so when you go to the council and they're like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, just punching the reporter for telling me off. I'm like, nah, you're out, man. Like, I love that when you get that turn where you're like, this guy's, he's bringing everything. So I'm going to have to bring everything. I loved that in Mass Effect. I thought it was so well done. I think Western RPGs do a better job than Japanese RPGs too in that. I really do. I think a lot of, even not Witcher 3, but like Jade Empire did a really good job with that. Even though it was based technically on like Chinese steampunk. But I thought they did a good job.
You know, speaking about villains, I also believe good villains, like meaning quality villains, don't feel the need to explain their plans to the good guys.
Yeah.
Or like shove it in their faces. Because often in Game of Thrones, you see this all the time, where someone, you know, does some stratagem, right?
Yeah.
Some backhanded thing. They get away with it, but they feel the need to like shove it in the faces of the people and be like, no, I did this. Like, why are you saying this?
Yeah.
You understand? You're just giving up your hand here.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
No,
the best bad guys are to me are a little unknowable.
They don't need the validation, you know?
Yeah. And it rests on the good guy to figure it out, if that makes sense. Competency porn is a thing I like. So like when the good guy's competent and figures out the bad guy's plan, that's much better to me than the bad guy being like, well, let me explain to you exactly my steps. 1, 2, 3. And you're like, oh my God, seriously? What are you doing, man? Like and by the way, a lot of times those in fiction will be the tacticians, the smartest of the villains. And you're like, any tactician in the world would have 10 feints and 5 fake attacks and 45 pincer moves. They would have all these things. They would not be sitting there telling you every single thing. So yeah, the best villains are unknowable to me. I'd love a Jade Empire sequel. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Spider-Man's always been my fave because of his obvious weaknesses and general good humanity. What's your favorite superhero? Do you guys do superheroes much, or is it more anime?
I don't like superheroes.
I used to watch most of it, and I kind of got really burnt out. I think Avengers Endgame was sort of like, you know, well, the end game for me. I did like Guardians. I did recently see the third one. That was good fun.
I think the Guardians movies 1 and 2 were awesome.
Is the only one I really loved, you know?
Batman?
Dark Knight. Yeah.
Nolan's I like those movies.
Yeah, they're very good. What else do we got before we wrap it up? Oh, that's why Baron Harkonnen is great on the book. He's just brutal. And yeah, Dune did a good job. Did a pretty good job with that. Like, they would talk to each other about what they were doing, but they wouldn't like email each other and be like, I'm coming after you. I'm coming at you. And you're like, dude, seriously, why'd you just send me an email?
I have 2 pitches for you.
Go for it.
I want to pitch you 2 technologies for the future, okay? And I want to hear your inputs here. Technology number 1, pets, but like robot pets. You know, if we can figure out a way to do fur convincingly. Imagine you have let's say you like cat or you know you like dogs, whatever. Doesn't poop, doesn't need food or drink. You can stop it barking or, you know, meowing when you need to work or whatever, and you don't want to be distracted. And you can, you know, it will do what you want, right? So you can say, well, time to play, because it's now a good opening for me, as opposed to it's time to play because the dog wants to play.
3 a.m. and the dog wants to play.
It's 3 a.m. and my cat is like zoom, zoom. Thoughts? I haven't heard a lot of people talking about like pets. People talk about home robots and stuff, but
we put Loki down 3 days ago. And he's been around he was 14 years old when we put him down. And I spent the next day 5 minutes yelling for him because I forgot we put him down. And I got to tell you, that was the moment where my wife came home. She was like, what's up? And I was like, dude, I just spent 5 minutes yelling for the dog, searching my backyard, and he's dead. So, to me, a robot animal would be good for longevity.
Yeah.
That is the most important. I don't care about the play thing. I don't care about the food thing. But the idea of, like...
You would never have to go through that.
Dude, when I started the podcast, all 3 of them were alive. We have other dogs now. But it was Loki, Ming, and Zen, and they've all passed away. And I looked at a picture, and I was like, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah.
Like, that sucks.
It's very rough. Yeah.
Dick. Like, there's no way around it. So to me, longevity of being able to say, you know, like, if you could copy their brain onto the robot, and
you're not gonna have to, you know, say goodbye to your pet. Right?
Dude, it's like, it was miserable. And what's funny is it didn't hit me when we did it. It was his time. He was in rough shape. But the next day when I called for him, it was obvious I had not
like a
processed it in the way that I thought. I was like, okay, you know, I'm very pro helping an animal. Like, if the animal's sick, that's your job as a human. Like, almost above most other things other than helping humans. Yeah. So I would love a robot dog for longevity.
Yeah, I think
for me it would ruin the point.
Because it's a living entity kind of thing.
Yeah, I love animals and I wouldn't
definitely
give a shit if it was like a robot.
Yeah. You mean, so you're saying you wouldn't even want the robot, or you're saying that you wouldn't care if it was a robot, or you wouldn't even care to get it because you know internally. Okay,
I know it's a robot.
Let's jump to this then. Robot girlfriend shows up, Absy, and she might argue with you or whatever. You can choose her 1 to 10 level of argumentative or like solo attitude. I don't know what you would call it, but chaos factor, 1 to 10. She looks whatever way you want, and robot girlfriend. Are you then saying you would actually choose the human girl, even though
I would choose the human? Fuck that. Yeah, I don't be that sad. No.
Yeah,
that's the same thing. But like if it was like, if someone wants like instead of prostitution, you know, get a
robot sex bot,
sex doll thing that feels like the same. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. But
you wouldn't take the emotional step.
No.
Okay.
No. Unless they became like sentient androids or something, then there's a discussion there. Yeah.
Right. What about you, Johnny? You for your own question.
Yeah, I would take the pets because I've also had, you know, the unfortunate experience of having to put down pets, and I mean, no matter how in peace you are with that, it's always really rough.
Yeah,
you create a big connection with pets.
Cycle of life, and it sucks. It sucks so bad. Yeah.
I do get what Abzi says, but I do think there's a line where if they are convincing enough, kind of like what you're saying, I guess, you know, there is a point, I think, for me where I would be okay with it.
Yeah. It's this is a real question, by the way. Like, this is stuff I've like thought about, you know, when you look at ChatGPT replacing people, and you look at friendships, and it's like all this kind of stuff. And I am more towards letting people do whatever they want to do. You get a lot of people who are like, we need to worry about, you know, sexuality for people if they get a sex bot because that's not healthy or whatever. It's like, well, if you get AI that, you know, is still chaotic, it could be the same thing. Like, we wouldn't even know. But yeah, there's all kinds of not moral, actually, I should remove that. I don't personally find any moral issues, but there's all kinds of psychological stuff that could definitely, because I don't know if you guys watch a lot of these, but a lot of books or movies about immortal bad guys, they go nuts because humans technically shouldn't live forever. I mean, you look at Altered Carbon, the meth, that was the big thing, is like they lost their humanity because they were there forever. And it's like the human brain, there's something about the human brain that's like, that's not good. Like, that it doesn't work for me. What was your other tech question?
Okay, so that's my pitch. I would say it was a mixed success, the pitch number 1, right? Pitch number 2 is something like a smartwatch, but it would actually measure your brain chemistry. So in a way, you know, we have good causation between what you eat and your brain chemistry, how you feel, or at least, you know, we have some good guidelines there.
Yeah.
But let's say when science gets to the point where it's a solved problem. So we know that if you eat, you know, your spaghetti with bolognese or whatever,
the cheese, you know, you're gonna feel crusty fried cheese.
Yeah. Based on your biology, you're going to feel sleepy, for example. Or, you know, it's going to lower your serotonin, whatever the hell it is. if we had a watch that actually showed you like, dude, what you just ate lowered your brain quality.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
Because then you would have an instant input. Instead, like now, the big problem and why it's hard to change our eating habits is we don't see an immediate feedback. So,
Right.
you know, you can have a cheat meal and you feel fine. And, you know, it's kind of over the long run that you feel the bad results of it. But if you saw like, dude, you fucked up, like that's gonna cost you.
It's
right?
an
The
unhappy
KFC you just
emoji.
ate.
It's just
Yeah,
this
it's an
fat, unhappy emoji on your watch, just like overweight. Yeah.
And if you could put it down to almost like happiness, not happiness, maybe well-being.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like if you feel shitty, your well-being is going to be worse.
Yeah.
You know, or you have less focus, your well-being is going to be lower. If you have like a well-being indicator, it's like, hey, you just went down 10 points because of the shit you ate, you know? I feel like people could act on
Dude, that's
stuff.
also some weird thought process of some people get enjoyment from that fried cheese like I do. And does it outweigh the long term if you do it occasionally?
Dude, that was 20 points.
Yeah, I could see people being unhappy because they're looking at their watch the entire time. It's thubbing, which is the new term for like people in relationships just using their cell phones, sitting in the same room.
Yeah.
There's something
detached
about
from the
experience. Like, and I think personally there is something awesome sometimes about having a bad choice. Like, I am going to eat some cheese because your brain does like cheese, right?
Yeah.
So there's also I mean, I don't know about you guys, but occasionally, randomly, I'll have something that you would consider bad for me, and I feel amazing for a little while. Your blood sugar spiked. You know, you're like, oh, fuck, man, I got extra sugar in my body and stuff like that. So I don't know if I'd want something because I would probably look at it too much. I mean, do you know what I looked at a lot? The Fitbit, man. When I got the Fitbit, that thing was like talking about sleep. It was talking about steps per day. It was talking about this. It was talking about that. And I started looking at it way too much. I was just like, you know, staring at it for every choice I made. I don't know if that's the best bet.
And you know the funny part about that, because I also got one of these to track my sleep and stuff.
Same.
It's like,
oh, dude, we all got one, yeah.
Yeah, because it's telling me like, hey, your sleep is kind of shit. You wake up a lot during the night, and I'm like, yeah, I understand,
right.
I know.
Yeah.
So what? Like, it's not actually telling me.
Right. It's not telling, not only that, but it's like, well, if you don't smoke or drink, which are negatives on your body too, it's like, okay, so my sleep, I woke up a couple times. It's like not, you know.
It doesn't tell me what to do. It also doesn't take into account that I've already tried like the basic stuff that everybody says, like, you know, no screens, blah, blah. I've tried that and I still wake up a bunch of times in the night. So it's like, it's kind of useless info.
Yeah.
It's hard to act on it because it's like, yeah, okay, you know, your heartbeat or your sleep is shit. So,
well, it's good to gauge like why am I feeling this way today? Is it because my sleep was bad last night, or is it because like of some other factor?
Because have you guys ever had that where if you wake up on the 30-minute REM cycle, you feel like shit? Man, if I wake up, I have to time my sleep wake up time at 3:30 or around 5:30 or around 7:30. And if I don't, and I wake up in between, I feel terrible all day because I woke up during the REM. And you're like, you just beat to shit. And it's not food or anything. It's just, maybe it's a dog barking.
So here's a question though. Do you wake up with alarms?
3:30, not anymore. No, I wake up pretty
vibrate. Well. I don't do sound
you
anymore.
have it. Interesting. So it's on your wrist and then
better.
Yeah, that might be. Yeah, I used to wake up with audio. I think that's good too. Music where it'll go from like 1 to 5 volume over a 5-minute period.
Gotcha.
But once you get used to waking up at the same time. I don't know if
it's just me, but because I don't wake up with alarms, I usually wake up. I feel like at the end of a cycle or whatever it is.
You probably do. Yeah, you probably do. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What I find is that also waking up early means I don't get woken up later. So a lot of people tease me for waking up early, and I'm like, well, if I let's say I woke up at right. So at 5 or something, I know the joke, but at 5 or something, a dog might bark or have to pee, but I'm already up. And instead of being woke up by them whining, which then wakes you up and sounds like an emergency, and you're like, whoa. If I know, then I can plan the night prior too. And I think planning sleep is actually better than worrying about all the other stuff. Like if you can plan to have 6 hours of good sleep, that's going to be better than maybe having possibly 7 the next day. But you might get woken up in the middle of your REM sleep and feel like shit for the first 3 hours, which does happen. We got a super chat real quick. $2 super chat. ACG would take off the watch when he eats Uncrustables. I wouldn't have that thing on. I don't like the idea of something watching. I don't know about you guys, but I'm actually pulling back from that. I pulled back from Twitter a good deal. I know Abzy was saying he pulled back from Twitter. Like a lot of the stuff I've pulled back on. I actually had somebody asking on Twitter, they were like, how can somebody have like 200,000 followers and only get 20 or 30 likes? And I was explaining to them how it was possible, but I was also thinking in the back of my head, that's like a meta discussion. That's like 10 levels of meta. It's like the person has a bunch. They don't get a lot of likes. This person who isn't that person is wondering about it. And I was like, wow, we're in the deep end now. Like we're like
people just lost in the matrix.
Calculating everything. I think it's best to like, have you ever read a good book and your brain thinks you're somewhere else? It's so good for your brain. When you're reading a book and you realize, oh, for a second I was in this fantasy world, or I was like, this shit was gone. And I think a lot of humans miss that. And that could, I bet you, be, I think that's what we're going to find out is detrimental, is like the ability for your brain to just ghost. You know, it's a good feeling, man. You guys ever done the thing where your eyes get, like you're thinking really hard, your eyes get blurry because like they're unfocused and you're just, it's so comfortable. Oh, it feels so good to do. We're going to wrap it up unless we got anything else. By the way, check out Uncrustables. Check out the Discord, Patreon. I appreciate everybody jumping in. We've had a bunch of people. We've had really good conversations. It's been a blast to have everybody in there talking about shows that Abzy loves. He pretended like he, you know, like he doesn't listen. He listens sometimes. Come on. Now you got everybody questioning if he's listening. Now in every voice chat, I'm going to be like, Abzy, what did I say 5 minutes ago? I'm going to query him.
I'm always listening. What do you mean?
You said you didn't listen when we talked about shows. You said you
I did,
tuned
but
out.
I just found it boring because I don't care.
Dude, Abzy's the kind of friend you want, but you don't want to talk to, right? You're just like, yeah, he's around, man. But
see, I've never understood that, because to me, I take interest in what other people are interested. So
not Abzy.
Kill me. Okay.
Abzy's like, I don't care about what you're interested in. He's like, no, he doesn't care. He's not even listening to you right now, Johnny. He's checked out.
I'm just kidding.
No, it's
go ahead,
it's not a morality thing.
Johnny's getting mad at me.
No, but I don't get how people work this other way, which other people do. I have another friend who, like you know, if she's not interested in what I'm saying,
it turns off.
Yeah, it's just
I'm
like
interested in
no
a lot of things.
No, I get that, but your point was, if you're not interested in what we are saying,
then I'm not interested.
Then you're not interested. But that's not how it works for me at all.
Right.
Like Karak could tell me about some random thing that I know nothing about. Like he's talking about Crustables or you know, like
and I would find that interesting. Yeah.
But if he's excited about it, I will be interested in it. He can be talking to me about the most boring show, but there's something about it that he really liked, and I'm, you know, latching
interested in why somebody else is interested almost.
Yeah.
Well, that's called empathy, and Abzy just has none.
For sure.
I mean, Abzy just has no empathy. I think we've.
No, that's not true.
I think
Abzy painted a picture.
I think Abzy not only has no empathy, he hates all people. And I think we can all.
I hate everybody. I don't like when anybody's excited about anything.
I know.
Fuck you all.
I know. But it is, I would say I'm in the middle ground. You know, sometimes you'll hear somebody talk about something and I do check out a little bit. But
same.
But overall, when somebody's talking about something that they're interested, like let's say farming, right? Like something it's not in my brain. Whenever somebody's good, I think that's the big thing. Like we joked about competency porn earlier. If somebody's really good at something and explains it, I can find myself interested in really weird shit because they're just talking about something.
I love talking about so many different topics, and I love people's excitement and blah, blah, blah. But there's some stuff I just don't give a shit about.
See? You can't even lie good. He just said, I love it when people are interested about stuff I don't find, blah, blah, blah.
No, I didn't say that.
You don't like us. Admit it.
Yeah, I want to shit on everybody.
That's why he's doing 2 podcasts, because he's uninterested in everything. But no, it is different strokes for different folks. But
Absi said that on Wednesday too. Told us to all go to hell or something.
Abzi's the fun one, man. He's the one. He's the one that. Do you know how something's interesting? I guess is you tell Abzi, and if he checks out, you're like, all right, this is interesting. Yeah. I'm just joking. Now I'm just razzing on him. I think that'll be it for us. Right? Do we have anything else? That'll be it. What are you guys doing this weekend? Is anybody got good plans? Are you going on another date, Abzi?
Probably like sometime next week. We're gonna probably take a bachata class together or something.
I'm sorry, what?
A what?
Bachata. It's a type of ballroom dance.
Oh, gotcha.
It's a Latin dance. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
It's like salsa, but a little bit easier.
Oh, is it so? Like it's a little bit. Like what do you mean? Like beginner friendly, almost like less complex.
Kinda, yeah, it's like it has a more simpler base. You know, salsa has like a more complex base. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And this one is this one where you sign up for like a class at a gym or a dance studio
it's
or something
like at a place. Yeah, and you go weekly and shit.
Is that something where people go to meet people, or is it where they go to learn?
No. I go to learn. There are definitely guys there that are just
right.
With
That's
woman,
what I was wondering about.
Yeah. But there's in the rules. It's like, okay, this is not a date. This is not a speed date. Like you're not there to pick up. I hate that shit. I'm there to learn, and if we can sign up as a couple and just dance with each other and not
very cool.
In salsa class, I dance with everybody, but yeah, there's some guys there that you could tell, dude. You could tell they're just there to.
Man, we used to have it in martial arts, Abzi, where somebody'd show up because we had some girls in our gym. And you'd be like, "Come on, dude, come on."
I thought they were just like they wanted to feel up some bodies.
Oh, feel up some. No, they were going because we did over time like get, women involved in martial arts, and you start to get this thing where people show up and they're like, I'll roll with her. And you're like, dude, you're a grease ball. You're going to get your arm broken. Somebody's going to fall on you on accident. It's like that. It's so gross. Steven, $2 super chat. Thanks for helping me stay awake at work. You bet. And Johnny, what are you streaming this weekend?
I think Lords of the Fallen tomorrow. Yeah. 2 p.m. UK time.
2 p.m., which is 6 a.m. my time. I remember.
6 a.m.
I remembered.
PST,
Boom.
Right?
417 podcasts in. I finally remembered your time zone, dude.
Crack of dawn.
The ass crack of dawn. The wide open ass crack of dawn. 6 a.m. is a good time to stream, though, here, because it's what people are, getting ready for work, maybe turn it on while they're getting dressed and stuff like that. So you have a lot of naked people watching you, is what I'm saying. You have a lot of naked, groggy people watching you. Is that cool to you, or
is that interesting to you?
They can do. It depends how excited they are about it.
Yeah, it depends on just how excited they are. Anyway,
the nudists.
All right. The nudists are watching Johnny. Thank you, everybody, for showing up and watching the podcast 3 different times. I apologize for the tech issues, but it looks like everything's fixed. We will be back next Wednesday, and on Monday you will see a Spider-Man 2 review from me. Peace out, everybody, and have an awesome week. Wait, what day is today? Yeah, it's Friday. Weekend. Have a good weekend. Yeah. Man, that happens to me all the time, where I think it's the